Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Wars 2 and the 1% Club. I did one last night. I have a break for a few minutes this morning before I start working. And I'm going to kind of do another one because I want to catch up. And I'm going to actually do a two-part series. We're going to talk about this as the Mighty Warrior. How to become the Mighty Warrior with semen retention. But first, let me kind of do a few shout-outs real fast here. Let's do Diante White again. Thank you. You did one yesterday. I appreciate that, my friend. Keep giving us some great feedback. I appreciate everything. My vaccinated neighbors refuse to die. I love your comments. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Giovanni, thank you. Blanket services. I think Giovanni, 25 months. That's wonderful. Keep it up, my friend. Blanket service talks about no matter what the age is, you're right. You can start anytime with the semen retention, the plan. And you can continue doing this as long as you live. In fact, I'm going to get a book recommended. One of our viewers recently talked about the immortals, 250 years. And there's no reason why you can't live a nice long life, especially if you're keeping all your nutrients and energy inside you. Anton, thank you. Yeah, great. Co-workers are going to respond to you all the time. And you're always greeting people with good evening, warrior. I appreciate that, Anton. That's great. And also Sharma, halac, the second. Thank you so much for your comments too. So, and Cheng V, thank you, my friend. Young comments about young you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thinking that I'm looking young. I appreciate that a great deal. I've been doing the Fountain of Youth Killer book since 1998. So I feel tremendous. I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life at this point. And I'm 61, so moving on 62 pretty soon in June. So we are moving good. So, we'll stop right there. And then we'll continue shoutouts tomorrow. All right, so, or next day we do, next video we do. All right, so at 2 minutes here, content time, let's go ahead and focus on the Mighty Warrior. Now, the reason we're doing a Mighty Warrior is because we're going to talk about monk mode. And a quick shout, before I say that, Alex, shout out to you, my friend. I just got a message from you recently, maybe over the last hour or so, talking about it from our last video, talking about depression and talking about how SR helped you with the crippling anxiety. And I know how that crippling anxiety is and depression. So congratulations, my friend. Keep working on it. And once again, retaining is really the best way to go. Celibacy, being able to, to hold in your nutrients until you procreate is wonderful. All right, so monk mode, Villem, Chimbu, fruits. You guys had some nice comments about monk mode. We're going to talk about this, and tomorrow we'll talk more about mightiness as well, because I know that Khogali talk about leveling up, how to increase it. Smart Blackguy also had a comment towards as well. So we're going to kind of talk about both of these in the next couple days. So let's talk about this at 3 minutes here, as we talk about the fact that you want to become the best warrior you can become, the strongest warrior you can become, because really the purpose of, in my estimation, of life for males especially, is to basically do a couple things. One is to protect. You need to protect your country, your city, your town, your family. God is with you. God is the one that's doing the things that are helping you, giving you all those basic skills and all that talents you have, and the ability to be able to understand knowledge and wisdom. And part of wisdom is gaining is through this semen retention. So once you know that, you're able to kind of use this ability to be able to kind of help people, help society. The same thing providing for your family, providing for the country, providing things, services for people who need that. And as years have gone on, I realize this more and more, that people need help and people need services. They need your expertise. They need things that can help you become a better person. And so I think it's your God-given duty to help people, because God has given you things, and I certainly have gotten a lot of things from people over the years, and it's time for me to start giving back. And that's kind of why I do the channel and all the things that I do. So when we look at this, then let's talk about raising your level higher, my friend. And you become not just a warrior, as you guys are in all our battles here. Now you become a mighty warrior. And Kelder talked about this in his book, Fountain of Youth, which I always go back to, because the fountain of youth is really the foundation. Retention is one of those things that's mentioned within this, and I think as he talked about how to transmute that energy, the exercises, the foods, the breathing, all those chants, everything he mentions in that book talks about the fact that you're trying to raise your level higher. You can become a super person. You know, you're a superhuman because you have this power. The power comes from the semen. The power comes from the idea that you have these nutrients within you. So, given that fact, now we're talking about an extreme type of situation that Kelder talks about. He doesn't mention it as monk mode. Other people have mentioned the monk mode because monks obviously are the ones who isolate it, by themselves, and they have no temptations, and so that's kind of what we're talking about. But when it comes to monk mode, especially when it comes to temptation and intercourse and sex and things like that, we're talking about warriors here. For you to become a mighty warrior, and most of us are on that journey. We're starting off wherever you're starting off with. 1,050 days ago, I started, this new journey, this improved journey, and I'm still working on myself. Monk mode, I'm not there yet. So I still have a lot of things that I need to do to get to really be strong in monk mode. Obviously, retaining and not releasing for 1,050 days has helped, but now you want to become that mighty warrior. You want to become that mighty warrior everybody looks up to, everybody goes around, needs help, protection. That person who is a true leader for God, for your God. And this is where monk mode starts to play in. Now, you can call monk mode a lot of different things if you want, but we're really talking about, and we kind of use a progression here a little bit, because as we look at this, very, very rarely can you just go cold turkey out of the blue and say, I'm not going to think about women ever again. That just doesn't happen. So in reality, the reason I do these channels and started this whole thing a couple years ago to begin with was the fact that this is a huge issue for our society, for our men especially. And so what ends up happening is that they cannot control their visual nature. And with our society, women who are not always closed, there's temptation. They look at women, we look at women. Those things are there. Pictures, all those things are around us on the videos, on the internet. Things are around us all the time. So it's hard to avoid this, the birds flying over your head. Now, you can stop them from nesting into your head, which is what we're talking about here. But the idea is that you've got to learn how to build this habit. The habit of not giving into the temptation of even thinking and looking. That's not something that I have become a master yet of. I'm working towards it. I'm getting better with it. But the monk mode is something that we should all be striving for in the long run. Now, how you start that process, obviously you start one step at a time in many cases. That's probably the best way to do it, in my opinion. You have to go and say, okay, I'm going to start with 5 days not releasing, 5 days no fap, not going into pictures, things like that. I'm going to continue moving in that direction. And if I fall back, I go back again, because you've formed habits the other way for many years. In my case, it was 47 years, 45 years, whatever it was. Now I'm moving back in the other direction. So it takes time. It's not easy. This is not an easy battle, my friends. This is why we call it a battle. This is one of the hardest things in your life to do. But if you know where you're trying to get to, in my case, I'm trying to get at least 12 years of no releasing, and I'm trying to get to monk mode 12 years. That's going to take some time, because what you're doing is you're trying to get rid of all the necessity of trying to think of women in the terms of basically sex. You're trying to get away from that thought pattern. And that's something that's ingrained, innate in us, and we have to try to learn how to transmute that energy more and more. And it's not easy. We talk about these videos about people, women bumping into you, accidentally touching you, all those things, just grabbing onto you. Basically that's because you have some level of energy. Imagine if you're a superpower. You're going to have people all over the place who just are magnetized to you. Men, women, job opportunities, things like that. But the more important thing is that you're fulfilling God's purposes. And that's really the goal. Everything else should be secondary. And then we get into this monk mode and becoming a mighty warrior. What you really have done, my friends, is basically become that godlike creature. Now, you're not a god, of course, we're not gods, but we become attributes of that God creature because now God has given you part of those attributes. This is why we always call a co-creator. You have some of those attributes within you. And this really comes from this whole idea of retention. You're keeping your seed within yourself. Therefore, you're becoming so powerful that you can overcome and do anything. You're not going to be depressed. You're not going to be anxious. You're going to have a lot of people who like you a great deal. They're attracted to you for lots of reasons. You're going to be successful. You're going to be well-focused. You're going to be healthy. You're not going to get sick. All these things happen multiplied 10 times when you're stronger and stronger. And the more you can get away from thinking about those things, the better you're going to be when it comes to becoming that mighty warrior. Now, this is not easy, of course. We know this. We know this is a battle just to take step one. But I know a few guys have written about this, how you can increase your level. Almost like a video game. I used to play the Marvel video games with my son all the time. And I can't remember what the name of it was, but you're trying to level up all the time, okay? Well, this is leveling up. You're going from a great warrior to a mighty warrior, a godlike warrior. And what you're doing is you're completely not thinking about women in terms of sex at all. And the only time that you would ever think about this, and you'd have to have control of this in your mind, is if you have someone who you're going to have children with. And all of a sudden now, you got to shift for that person alone. Now that takes a tremendous amount of control, warriors, to be able to not think about this all day long, and then all of a sudden decide, okay, I'm going to think about this with my wife or someone else because I want to have children. That puts you in a whole different warrior category. And that's what we're striving for. We're striving for you to be able to control enough of your thinking pattern to say, okay, something's popped in front of me. There's a picture of a naked girl. I'm not going to respond to that. Here's a picture of some people, doing what over here. I'm not responding to that either. I'm going to continue doing my goals, accomplishing my stuff. And this is why we talked about this the other day. This is why people try to get your attention. Women want your validation because you're not giving it to them. You're basically just moving on. And remember, guys, we go back to the old thing that I always go back to. The analogy of life. The analogy of life to me is like the old story of Beauty and the Beast. Why do I say that? Well, the beauty, obviously, of the women who are in their 20s and 30s, they're creating an illusion of the beauty princess, right? The beast is that male who actually has beast-like attitudes and beast-like mentality, and they need to be tamed. And this is what women do. They've told this to me for years and years, since I've been around. That what they're trying to do is they find it a challenge. This is why the women, especially in high school, like the bad boys. Because they want to tame that bad boys. Now, the funny, ironic thing, and my uncle told me this a long time ago, is that once they get you tamed, they don't want you anymore. Because it was a challenge of getting you tamed. That is what the issue is. And this is why you should never, one of the reasons, you should never lose your beast-like mentality. The bigger reason, obviously, is that that's who you are. Don't ever stop losing your beast-like mentality. But from a woman perspective, they're going to continue to want you, want your validation. They want it because this is what they're made of. This is what God has put them there for as well. To nurture, to help, and to culture people. Babies, children, husbands, all those type of things. This is what they will do until time immemorial. They will do this. Because women they're into relationships, they're into nurturing. And so in men's case, a man is a beast. But the man has to control themselves. Because if they do not control themselves, they'll run out of gas. Make an analogy with a car. They'll run out of power. You're talking about a video game. And so the key is, my friends, you have to go ahead and realize that that power inside of you is something very special that God's given you that 99% of the people and men in this world throw away. Don't throw that away. Keep it as long as you can. And if you make mistakes and you relapse, go back and do it again and start again. This is a long-term journey. You're going to be here for a while. You're going to be successful. You're going to have all the people you want to be around you. And if you choose that one person, you're going to have kids if you want that as well. But learn how to control that temptation, and you'll be great. All right, once again, thank you guys for the comments. I'm going to take off here with this one. Once again, Villem, Chimbu, Fruits, thank you, my friend. Tomorrow we're going to talk about mightiness again in a different way, on how to bring that mightiness up and become that super godlike warrior that we need to have. All right, until next time, guys, two things. One, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And number two, always remember to battle